Hello, the Pioneer viewers. Today we will share with you again a very remarkable information about the Russia-Ukraine war. As you may remember, we often expressed our previous reports in recent months. The crisis in the Russian army has gradually increased. As a result of this depression, we predicted that desertion cases of the Russian soldiers would begin to increase. Once again, we were right. The Pioneer team reached an interview with a Russian soldier who deserted from the front line, containing a very critical information. The problems of the Russian soldiers on the front line are increasing day by day. However, the administration of the Russian Federation is indifferent to this situation. There are reports that many Russian soldiers are trying to send letters of complaint to the Russian war leadership or the administration of the Russian Federation. However, Russian commanders allegedly prevent these letters from reaching the war leadership. Even the emergence of the allegations about the letters clearly reveals this situation of the Russian army has fallen into. So what information does the Russian soldier who deserted from the front line give about the Russian army? Let's examine the details in this interesting interview together. The Pioneer team continues to the reports of the Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily map reports and reports of the agenda. I also read all your comments. Please don't forget to share your ideas and suggestions about our content with me in the comments. Let's start if you're ready. The Pioneer reports. Our protagonist today is a Russian soldier named Artyom, who does not want to give his last name. Artyom has been actively involved in the front line during the war, which has been going on for about 20 months. As we will talk about this in a moment, his experiences on the front line led Artyom to a questioning. As a result of these questionings, Artyom deserts from the army one night. At the beginning, Artyom is also a very ambitious Russian nationalist. He even studied at a military boarding school at his own request. After finishing school, he signed a 3-year contract to serve in the Russian army. However, before this contract expired, Artyom was very disappointed because he was told that the Russian army was huge, invincible, and presented morality for the world. However, Artyom learns while serving in the front line. The Russian army is not as powerful and gigantic as is expected. It also does not embody any morality. In Artyom's view, the Russian army is a state organization that is only interested in fulfilling the special wishes of Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation. At first, Artyom was just one of the soldiers assigned to train the troops. Later, however, when the controversial mobilization decision was taken, Artyom was one of the soldiers sent to the front line. Artyom describes those days in the following words. I told my commanders that I didn't want to shoot people even if they bullied me for it. They knew what my stance was. However, things did not go as Artyom expected because Artyom was deceived. After Artyom went to the front line, he was assigned for a while to lead a signals platoon units tasked for the maintaining communications networks, electronic warfare, and signals intelligence on the battlefield. After a while, however, his commanders told him that he should also take an active part in the front line. When Artyom refused again, his commanders called him a traitor. After that, it was all over for Artyom. He had only the thought of desertion in his mind. Artyom expresses that period with the following sentences. I'm not trying to excuse myself. My work helped other forces to join the fighting. During my time there, I kept thinking about how to escape. In Russia, desertions and voluntary surrender are published. In Russia, desertion and voluntary surrender are punishable by long prison sentences, and my commanders threatened me with imprisonment if I dared to leave my post. I had also heard stories corroborated by the independent Russian news organizations of service personnel who refused to fight being locked in basements in eastern Ukraine. The worst case scenario was that I would be part of the Storm Z team, but my luck turned. Last month, my commander gave me a few days off. I contacted an anti-war organization and I knew I only had 2 or 3 days before they started looking for me, so I had to be quick. Artyom is one of the soldiers who managed to escape to Armenia in this way. It is known that Alexei, another soldier who deserted with Artyom, also gave an interview. Both of them have the same method. Alexei describes this process as follows. Here you see other Russians on the street and you may not even know that you're serving together. This is not something you talk about. Everyone is looking for an opportunity to escape. We don't know each other, but we have a common destiny. We don't know each other, but we have a common destiny. From the first days, I quickly realized that we were just meat for the Russian war machine. But it took time to escape. The army didn't provide us with anything we needed. They treated us like dogs. We bought everything ourselves with our own money, including uniforms and clothes. When I arrived in the eastern Ukraine, I immediately saw firsthand that I was participating in an illegal occupation. The mood in my unit deteriorated over the summer and Ukraine launched a counteroffensive and casualties mounted. During the day, Ukraine would start shelling our positions and you couldn't get your head out. At night, you still had to go to work. I witnessed drunken battles among the fellow soldiers, some of which ended in fatal shootings. As the time went on, the soldiers began to wonder what it was all for. Many of those who were eager to fight began to question the purpose of it at all. On the one hand, Artyom, who was an extreme Russian nationalist and hated the army. On the other hand, Alexei, who left his country and his land because of what he saw on the battlefield. These stories are expressions we heard very often during the Russian-Ukrainian war, so we're no longer surprised. The Russian army continues to sacrifice its own sons and daughters on the fields of Ukraine. Only those who escape and try to make new life for themselves help to make these realities clearer, like Artyom and Alexei's. How did Artyom and Alexei's escape? This is where the so-called anti-war organization comes in. Edit Lesson, a Gregorian-based organization, helps Russian soldiers to escape from the front line. The organization explains the purpose of its works as follows. So far, our organization has helped more than 500 Russian soldiers to desert. Our aim is to thwart Putin's imperial aims. We believe that this is absolutely right from both humanistic and programmatic point of view. We believe that this is absolutely right from both humanistic and pragmatic point of view, so that Putin has fewer soldiers. Recently, we have seen a noticeable increase in the number of requests for desertion. Some of the soldiers who are currently deserting have been wounded in the combat and don't want to return after seeing the horrors. Others are exhausted because they have not been rotated since the start of the war in Ukraine. We expect this number to increase. What do you think about the Artyom and Alexei's stories? Do you think these soldiers will inspire other soldiers? Will their interviews cause other Russian soldiers on the front line to desert? What do you think about the Edit Lesson organization in Georgia? Let me know in the comments. I read and care about all your comments.